Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. I'm just glad to be up today, man. Glad to be woke. Glad to be here. Glad to be free. And enjoying the blessings that come with it. Since I've been home, there's been a lot of death, not just in my family. I have a cousin right now that's he has stage 4 lung cancer. You know, I haven't seen him since I was, I think, 11 years old. And since I've been out, I've inquired about him, but he's worked hard, and we just haven't really, found time because, like I said, we weren't that close, when I was incarcerated. So, I found out recently that he had lung cancer. He's bedridden and only has, according to the doctors, anywhere from today to a couple months, right? And so, it's painful, but the pain is more for the loss that everyone is facing, the losses. COVID-19 is taking a heck of a toll on humanity. People are dying left and right. I mean, young people are dying left and right. 25, 35, 45 years old from getting sick and not being able to recover. So, a lot of time I find myself reflecting on these things, and, we have to do that. We have to reflect on the lives that we live, but the lives of others, those that we love, those that we care for, and, hopefully live our lives according, to the reality that tomorrow's not promised. That's a great thing to want, and that's a great thing to believe, but tomorrow's not promised. So, just reflecting this morning, right? So again, I thank you all. I really do thank you all, man, for your comments, your support, your company, because it gives me something to really continue to reflect on. A lot of people are ill affected by our upbringings, the realities that we faced throughout our lives, every single person, and many, many more than others. So, everyone who entrusts me with their stories, with their issues, I thank you. I thank you. I'm sharing mine with the intent to help others. And so, let us continue to forward these bonds and work together, to bring about a change within ourselves and those around us. With that said, I just want to read a little bit, read a couple of my poems and elaborate, because they deal with the lessons that I learned while being incarcerated. So, you all have seen it. This is a book of mine. I was just thinking. It's a book of poetry, and it talks. It's poems, about everything. Not a whole lot. Maybe I think 75. Family, love, laws, culture, etc. But I wanted to read this particular one called Contradiction. It says, prison is a place where friends are made and enemies forgotten. A place where enemies are acquired and friends fade away, bonds turn rotten. A place where the silken tongue of a clown spins tale and lies so well, their audience captivated by illusions, and the clown's fan base swells. But those who would speak true, words that possess no flash or flare, their company small but attentive, their lives of maturity clowns won't share. And anger walks the cells and departs boldly, with his best friend misery. Their presence creating constant disharmony, and they seek to enhance their company. Prison is a place where memories keep you sane, but they also keep you in tears. This, the definition of contradiction, prison, where nostalgia is feared. And yet it's also a place where hope is born, being birthed from hardships, bruises, and more. Because evolving is difficult, and now behold the rose from concrete, absent thorns. And just, a little elaboration, I say prison is a place where friends are made and enemies forgotten, a place where enemies are acquired and friends fade away, bonds turn rotten. You come in, you really not thinking that you're going to be cool with anybody. You don't really know anybody personally. More often than not, sometimes you'll run across a guy from your neighborhood, maybe a guy that went to school with you. Oftentimes you're traveling to different places with prisons, in prison. So you run into people from your city, your county, your town, your area, but you're among so many different people and from different places. So you forge bonds sometimes with strangers. It's just because y'all can relate to one another, and so you forge genuine bonds. I met a guy, man, to this very day. We've been close for more than 28 years, I guess. Maybe around that time, he's my best friend, my brother, you know what I mean? And I met him inside. Now, we knew a lot of the same people as we got to know each other on the inside. We spoke, but we moved similar, you know what I mean? We didn't deal with a lot of crowds, deal with a lot of people. And so, once we, started talking and dealing with one another, we realized we had a lot in common. But we knew a lot of the same people. He's also from D.C., but this is my best friend to this very day. We ride together, we work together. So, you form. And then I have guys that I had been friends with before I was incarcerated. We were close. We went to clubs. We went to go-go's. We rode. We, maybe a fought side by side. We might have hustled, side by side. We knew each other's families. But time put strains on those bonds. And so, you no longer, you hold on to the memories, but you no longer stay in touch. Some guys, I don't even know where they are now. Some of them probably don't even know I'm home, but they are living their lives, and I'm praying that they're living their best life, and I'm living mine. So, those are, and then you have people that, you are bothered that they're no longer in your life because you thought your bonds were tight. So that's why I say, some bonds turn rotten. Then I say a place where the silken tongue of a clown spins tales and lies so well, their audience captivated by illusion, and the clown's fan base swells. You have guys, man, they're so good at telling stories, and they're lying most of the time because you might know them, or might know who they are just in prison. And, you sit back and you're like, man, this dude not telling the truth, or this dude not telling the whole story. You might hear, certain inconsistencies, but because they tell it so well, they're comical. And that's usually, why I call certain guys clowns, because they're looking for the attention of everybody at the expense of people. I know guys that used to joke the officers in the booth, sit back, and sometimes the officers can't hear you, but you're cracking the joke. It's like the whisper of people behind the back of someone, and people might sniggle and giggle at these whispers, but when they're confronted, then they back down. I've seen guys joke to officers in the booth, hey, CO, you take a shower today? Man, and the guys will start giggling, man, I went up to the booth, man, y'all ain't smell that slide. Because the COs will talk to you through this little slide. So guys will go up there, and some guys, it might be a woman in the booth the guys like, but they can't get the attention of, so now they're trying to find a way to mock her. So they'll go up there, and I knew a guy, this is a true story, guy went up there, he smelled, made all these exaggerated faces, backed up about 30 feet. Good God, man, shorty, what's wrong with him? And everybody like, what's up, man, she phone, go up there. So now a couple guys walking there, taking breath, inhales and coming back, like holding their nose, and now that becomes a whole topic throughout the day, just because the guy that actually liked the woman didn't get any response. I remember in Aesop's Fables, we hear about, there's a story about a fox, and he wanted some food. So he saw some grapes on a vine, and he went over there and he tried. He was like, man, these grapes are probably delicious. I like them, I want them, so he's jumping up, trying to get the grape. He can't reach them. So he gets mad, he walks away and said, man, they probably was sour anyway, and that's where you hear the term sour grapes. But the fox now is going to find a reason to discredit the grapes, though they probably were delicious. But now he's going to find a reason to discredit them because of his own inability to grasp them. So you have guys that'll do that. They might like a woman, and they're trying to talk to her, but because they can't, now they want to disrespect her. Oh, shorty, you big head, or so look at your feet, or look at that outfit, or look at this, look at that, look at this. But you just wanted her 20 seconds ago, but because she said, nah, I'm good, or I have somebody, or I'm all right, or whatever, or just doesn't want to talk to you. Now you trying to find every single flaw that's in your mind. So you have guys that do that in prison, and because it is a tense place, people like to laugh. People want to, find a lightness in the day. Those who are silly are surrounded. They have a large fan base. But those who are, always getting on people, man, tighten up, pull your pants up, man, tie your shoes, man, clean your cell up, stop living like, man, go get your GED, you laying in your bunk all day, right? Those guys, you only have a handful of people that might deal with you, one or two, you know what I mean? And they only, and we know this even on the street, you might have an aunt that's strict, a parent that's strict, go to school, do this, do that, a grandparent that's strict. But we want to go over the family member's house that's loose, that lets you do whatever. But in the long run, we find that without that discipline, we shortchanged ourselves. We shortchanged ourselves. So that's why I say that. But those who will speak true, words that possess no flash, no flare, their company small but attentive, their lives of maturity clowns won't share. I just spoke on that. And anger walks the cell and pods boldly. With his best friend, misery, their presence creating disharmony as they seek to enhance their company. I knew guys, man, they had a bully disposition. Their faces was always twisted, exaggerated, not like they were serious people. They were just, it was extras, and they walked around and they were tense, and you felt it. When they came around, I knew people that just stayed away from them. You couldn't really be in their company because they were always quick to try to start something. And they were miserable, right? They were angry. And they would draw attention to the pod, man, bad attention. We would get into a fight and they just created disharmony because they would, man, who got the phone behind you? Man, you got it. Man, who next in the shower? You got it, man, what's up with the canteen? And you just like, what's wrong with you, Slim? But you notice that that's not how they are when they're in the cell, or you notice when they're on the yard, and there's a lot more people, then they're a bit more, careful with how they conduct themselves. But you had some guys, man, they were bold in their anger and their disrespect, right? So, but they were always looking to draw people into their, their silliness. They'll sit there, man, you see, man, how the police was this, that, and the third. And if they could get a conversation sparked, rooted in their misery, then a lot of time they felt better because that's a way of their venting and relieving their tension and stress. But they did it in such a manner, it just always created, hostility or a rough environment, man, an uncertain environment. So, that's why I wrote that one. Then it says, prison is a place where memories keep you sane, but they also keep you in tears. This, the definition of contradiction. Prison, well, nostalgia is feared. Nostalgia is bittersweet. So memories, we don't have in life out here, people have been on trips, they've gone to Jamaica, Aruba, Africa, Europe, France, all over the U.S. They've been New Orleans, Florida, California. They've been everywhere. And if they haven't even where they are, they've been to parks, they've been to monuments, they've been to museums, they've been to stores, they've had marriages, they had children, divorces, separations, they've had family vacations, they've had life, right? They lived. And there we're alive and we make the most of it, but we're confined to cells and pods. And so our stories aren't usually primarily prison stories. They are, man, I remember when I went to the club on the street, I remember when I was wearing this red such and such shirt and I was wearing these, blue jeans with these shoes and I was looking right, or I was wearing this, I was doing that. Man, I remember I was messing with this girl from this neighborhood, but she looked, and so those what we hold on to, because that's all you have. You remember family the way you left them. And you may have pictures of family growing up and being older, doing things, but you remember what you remember. You remember the meals y'all had, the laughs, the jokes, the harmony, the fun, the arguments or whatever. And so you hold on to this, but you also, when you're by yourself, man, you think about Christmas, particularly them holidays and, people's birthdays. And you just sit there, man, and you have a lot of guys, they cry in silence, they cry in the darkness of their cell. And many people won't never know until they actually tell you that they cried, or so, that's why I said, man, nostalgia's feared, because it's bitter to reflect and to ponder what you had. Um, but it also feels good sometimes because it keeps you sane, man. You remember your mother's face. You know what I mean? You remember your grandmother's voice. You remember the food that people cook. You remember that your aunt is good with cakes. And you remember that your father did show you how to throw a jab. You remember that your uncle did show you how to change oil in a car. And, you remember that, your older brother let you wear his shirt. You remember that, your first girlfriend and your first kiss, running through the halls of the school. You remember your first crush. So these things keep you sane because they give you a focal point during the course of the day sometime, to just be centered, right? So, and lastly, it says, and yet it's also a place where hope is born, being birthed from hardship, bruises, and more. Because evolving is difficult, and now behold, the rose from concrete, absent thorns. And the reason I say that is because in prison, as you grow, you see things differently. You begin to look at life a lot differently. You're like, man, okay, I have my GED. I can get a job. Man, I just earned my HVAC certificate. Now I can see myself working. I can see myself, prospering. Some people went in prison could not read or write at the age of 14, 15, 16 and older. And then they learned how to read and write. And now they find hope in that ability. You have people that form bonds, might have a girlfriend or, a boyfriend if you're in a women's facility. And now you're like, in that moment, when you have somebody that's writing you, visiting you, you're talking to them, that's hope right there. So you're like, yeah, so when I do, I don't know when I'm gonna get out, right? Or I might get out next year, or I don't get out in 5 years, or whatever. There's hope, like, man, we're gonna go to the park, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. You're forming plans based on the feelings and the thoughts then and there. And so there's hope, right? And you want that, you need that. Everybody wakes up hoping, for that next paycheck, hoping for that raise, hoping for the another job, a better paying job, a more comfortable job that suits you, a better vehicle, right? A stronger family, a closer bond, a better day. We hope every day, and it's good to hope because it gives you something to aspire toward. And that's why I say evolving is difficult, because you leave your comfort zone when you're evolving. When you were once comfortable with living a certain way, thinking a certain way, acting a certain way, that's what you knew for years, for long periods of time. So you developed life according to that. But as you grow, now you have to move different. You can't hang in the streets. You can't hang around silly people. You have to act different. You have to act mature. You can't talk immature, juvenile. Now you have to talk like an adult. You have to live like an adult. You have to pay bills like an adult. You have to budget like an adult. Take care of family like an adult. This is evolving. Work like an adult. So in doing that, that's a difficult thing. And so you become a rose, but you from hardship. So the hardship, that's the concrete. It's rough, it's tough, it's serious, and so the rose is beautiful, it's delicate, but it's also has thorns because the thorns protect it, right? But when you grow, you begin to let those thorns shed. Like, I'm not going to always have my guard up. I'm not going to always view everything as an insult. I'm not going to always, be so mean or so grouchy. I'm going to smile. I'm going to laugh. You know what I mean? I'm going to hope, that someone wishes me better as opposed to always assuming that they wish me ill. So this is, the rose from concrete, absent thorns, So again, we strive to grow. those of us who are mature, those of us who are wise. This is the best. If you don't want to grow, you don't want to change, then get back on your knees and start crawling and saying goo goo gaga, right? Stay a child, stay a baby, and there's something that comes with that too. But if you grow, you evolve, feels good. May not always be, great, might not always, feel comfortable, but it's best. It's wise. It's natural. So again, I thank you all for, listening. I have a couple of more. I like to just share them a little bit with you all, and I appreciate you all's feedback. I'm working on it. I'm used to writing, but I'm not used to reading them or saying them aloud. So I thank you all for your patience and your tolerance. Follow me, on my Facebook page, Khalid Kareem, that's my name. Follow me on Instagram, Khalid Kareem 75. That's me on Instagram, and you can see that I really am about working with the youth. I'm about my family. I'm about growing. I'm about evolving. And I appreciate you all. Like I said, this is a daily journey, and you all are walking it with me, So continue to take care of yourselves. Continue to strengthen in the areas you're weak in, and help who you can when you can. And like I said, thank you, and have a great day. So continue to subscribe, continue to share, continue to like, and continue to make comments, and give me advice if you want to, ask questions if you want. I'm an open book, and I'm gonna be honest with you. So like I said, appreciate you, have a good one, and continue to take care of yourself and those you love.